Turning now to Ms. Block. You have the floor for 5 minutes. I understand you're sharing your time as well, but over to you.
Yes, that is correct, Mr. Chair, and thank you very much, and thank you, Ms. Hogan, and to those joining you for being here today. You know, from the beginning of the Government Operations and Estimates Committee study into ArriveCAN, we have been told by Liberal members across the table that there was nothing to see here, and in fact, you could probably look at past committee studies or meetings to see that that is exactly what they said when we were undertaking or wanting to undertake this study. Little did they know, I guess, that you would find, and you have mentioned several times, that there was an alarming lack of documentation throughout the procurement process for this app, which I think is in keeping with what the procurement ombudsman stated in his report. So time and time again, we have heard that we should cut the public service or servants some slack because it was during the pandemic. And we even heard it today in regards to public servants working from home. Do you believe the glaring disregard for basic mismanagement and contracting practices, as well as the lack of documentation, can be sufficiently excused by the fact that it was during a pandemic?
No, I said it in my opening remarks. I do not believe that an emergency is an excuse for throwing the rules out of the window. These are some really basic elements that I would have expected to see. Documenting a decision on who is being selected and why they have the skills to carry out the work that you need done. Basic bookkeeping factors that I would expect to see. Invoices well supported, making it clear what work should be charged to what project that's ongoing. I think that my advice to public servants would be to document as you go. And we saw other contracts throughout the pandemic, while had opportunities for improvement, were not as glaring as the lack of documentation that we see.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's your signal, Mr. Brock. You've got the floor for about 2 minutes and 40 seconds.
Thank you, Chair. From $80,000 to approximately $60 million, and probably going to be continue more once we get some documentation. It's now abundantly clear to Canadians why the Liberal government under Justin Trudeau and its members did everything in their power to shut down your audit. They voted against your audit. They routinely shut down committees. Just last week, they shut down the committee that you and I were involved in when it was revealed that the RCMP were investigating. All of a sudden, they brought a motion to adjourn. And just last week, a release of the preliminary report by the CBSA investigator was too scary for some Liberal members, and they required a complete shutdown of witnesses to study the ArriveCAN. So it's abundantly clear what they were trying to hide. This is a gross misuse of taxpayer funds. You indicated the public service should do better. This is an example of the worst record-keeping practices that you have seen in your tenure as the Auditor General. Do you believe there should be, in terms of moving forward, the CBSA has promised to make recommendations, to follow your recommendations for changes internally, but to the Canadians who are watching this, who have now realized that this government has abused and misused their taxpayer funds, what civil and criminal consequences should befall this government?
So matters of a criminal nature and decisions in that respect rest with law enforcement. In this case, the RCMP would be the experts to tell you what action, if any, is needed. That is not my place.
GC Strategies is under RCMP investigation, not for the ArriveCAN app, but in relation to another application involving a software company out of Montreal, and the government as well, including the CBSA. That's the focus. The RCMP has never been focused on the ArriveCAN app. During the course of your investigation led by Mr. Hanoush, shared to you, Ms. Hogan, and to Mr. Hayes, did you uncover elements of suspicion with respect to GC Strategies that warranted a potential referral to the RCMP?
So this is a bit of an unusual situation. Normally, when we're in auditing, the RCMP has not been referred matters. So in this case, they were referred in a matter around contracting. I am not aware if they've begun an investigation or where that investigation is going. So I didn't have to turn my mind to, do I need to decide if there are other things I should refer? I did have a conversation with the RCMP, and it was a very general one because our report was not yet made public. It was made public today only. I told them that if they would like to have access to our file, that they should send me an official request to do so, and we would be happy to provide them with any of the evidence that we have.